When you start chapter 2, the best thing to do is to first make sure that you download the file. Second, make sure you change it from your last name chapter 2 racquetball to your actual last name chapter 2 racquetball. That way I can distinguish your file from somebody else's. And the next thing you should do, and what I'm not showing here, is have Animate CC open in one window and in another window have the instructions in D2L so that it's easy for you to go back and forth. Now, what I'll do in this video is I'll show you a couple of things that might trip you up from the instructions, and then also show you a finished example of the project. Yours will look a little bit different. You might choose different colors, but this is just the demo that I would show you if you were in class with me in a physical classroom. So let's go see the finished project. What we have here is we have 3 layers, the info layer, which was already made for you, and then you create a ball layer and a wall layer. Remember that layer order matters because the top one is going to sit on top of whatever in the second layer, and that's going to sit on top of whatever in the third layer. So make sure that this wall, and it's just a basic shape, is at the very bottom so that it doesn't sit on top of anything. And then in this ball layer, this animation is what you learned in chapter 2. It shows you how to create these shape tweens, which you can tell because they are green when they're done correctly. And as we go through and scrub the playhead through our timeline, you'll see that my ball started from off stage and it comes in and it hits at the 15th frame. You can see that the very right edge of the ball hits the very left edge of the wall. And then the next 2 frames show a squash, where it squashes down, reinflates about halfway, and then one more frame and it's back to its original size. Once it's back to the original size, it does another shape tween where it moves off the stage to create that first bounce sequence. Then there's a little bit of a gap, and then we see the ball start from a new position outside of the stage, and from that new position hits a new place on the wall, squashes for 2 frames, and then it comes back to its original size and bounces out to a new position. So basically what we're doing is we're creating a 2 bounce animation to simulate a racquetball game, and notice that they are not exactly the same bounce. So it looks a lot more natural than if they were perfectly coming in from the exact same spot, hitting the exact same spot on the wall, and leaving at the exact same spot. All of this was done within the first 1 through 69th frame. By the 70th frame, you don't really have to do anything because that animation is already created for you, and you don't really see it in here because it's something called a movie clip. That movie clip, if you click on it, if we move over here, double click inside of it, you can see that now we're in a movie clip called MC Title Sequence, and in here we can see animation where Sparta League moves in, racquetball drops down, and then the information fades in. None of that you had to create. That's something that comes in later chapters where you learn that. That's already pre-created for you. The only difference is that in your file, this shape is black and this text is black. And we want you to be able to coordinate colors with whatever your racquetball color is. So in order to do this, when you create your racquetball, you can choose whatever color you want, and I'll just click scene 1 to come back out to the main timeline. You can choose whatever color you want when you create the ball. And it can be a flat color too. I just chose to use a gradient because I thought it looked a little bit more natural. But if you want to use a flat color and you want to make it purple or blue or green, as long as it's good contrast with the background, then that is absolutely okay. Whatever color you choose though, you're going to have to come in and change those different movie clip colors. So let's go to the original file that hasn't been pre-made and see that you already have this info layer, and at the 70th frame you already have that movie clip in there. So what we need to do to change these 2 things is go to the library panel, and you'll see 2 movie clips in here, one called MC Racquetball and one called MC Sparta League. If you double click the MC Racquetball, you can come in here, click on the text, go to properties, and you'll have to probably double click to get in there and highlight all of it so that you can change the fill color of all of it. So let's say I wanted to make this Barney purple. Okay, so once I get into that full group, and notice I had to get into the racquetball, then into the group, I can click on scene 1 to go back to the original outside scene, and then I can double click MC Sparta League, click on that shape, go to properties, choose the fill color, and choose Barney purple again. Go back to scene 1 and then you can test and play your movie, or you can double click on here to see it. And I don't think, yeah, maybe I did choose the same purple color. But there we go. That's all there was to changing those colors, is being able to go into the library panel, double click on those two options. And remember, with racquetball, you're going to have to get in there more than once, because when you click on it the first time, you're just in the movie clip racquetball and it won't let you change the color. So double click again, and then you'll have to select all of it by clicking and dragging around all of the letters, and then you should be able to change the fill. So those are the only things that kind of weren't explained in the chapter, is how to change those movie clip colors. But other than that, you should, after doing the practice example from chapter 2, you should be able to create this bounce sequence, and it does have some easing, so make sure you pay attention to that section. And we do have this little bit of a squash, and I will expect to see that the edge is always matching up with the squash, because otherwise it just doesn't look natural. All of this animation should happen within the first 70 frames, and then the wall should last from the first frame all the way to the end of the info layer. So that's just telling us how long this lasts. The info layer lasts until the 200th frame, so the wall layer should also last to the 200th frame. Make sure that you read the chapter carefully, that you read the instructions carefully. If you get stuck, try it again. If you're still stuck, check in the chapter. And if you're still stuck, then there's Q&A discussions where you can ask for help from your classmates or me, or you can email me and I'd be happy to help you.